And live here, 10:34 p.m., April 23rd. This is Hannibal from the HannibalTV.com with my daily wrestling news update. Before I get into the news, I just want to say I did a podcast with Tank Abbott today. It's about an hour and a half long. It's probably the best of all the interviews I've done with him, and I think it was the fourth interview I've done with him. So that'll be at patreon.com/the Hannibal TV in full soon. The Jacques Rougeau one's on my Patreon page already, and I'm supposed to interview Terry Runnels tomorrow. She was supposed to do it last week, but she rescheduled for tomorrow. And of course, the Buff Bagwell's also on Patreon. Also, my whole daily news update yesterday was CM Punk alleging that Jacques Rougeau was bullshitting everyone, saying that Dino Bravo saved him in a bar fight that Jacques had instigated with a Quebec Nordics player. Jacques could not remember the name, but I have received confirmation today from Jacques that the Nordics player that Dino Bravo beat up was Serge Bernier. So it's a French name. I don't know why CM Punk would not believe that, as it's not like Jacques was saying he personally beat up that player. Jacques actually said the incident made him stop going to bars. And I can tell you from knowing Jacques, he's the type of guy that might have a few beers here and there in his backyard, but he's really not a big partier. So I don't see why Jacques would lie about a story from 30 years ago. He lived in Quebec. Wrestling was very popular in Quebec. Hockey's very popular in Quebec. Why would he not be at a player where an NHL hockey player would be? It makes no sense. Sam Lenz even says CM Punk bitch is the most vagina and disgrace to Chicago. That is Sam Lenz's words. AEW, after losing to NXT in the limbo battle this week, developmental WWE versus AEW. AEW won 731,000 viewers to 665,000 viewers. AEW scored a 0.25. NXT, with Triple H as the lead producer of it, from what I understand, scored a 0.17. And I keep hearing everyone says, like, not everyone, but there's a good percentage of people that always say, oh, when Vince dies, Triple H is going to take over and everything's going to be better, but doesn't look like it. I mean, he is in charge of NXT. They're getting a 0.17 rating with everyone home. No sports competition. Triple H also said in a recent podcast that he liked the idea of WrestleMania being 2 nights rather than 1. So we'll see if WrestleMania goes to 2 nights. WWE also did their earnings call for their first quarter today. They had $53.3 million in revenue. I don't know what their profit was, but that was their revenue. Vince McMahon acknowledged that Raw ratings were off considerably year to year. He says SmackDown has been more consistent. I guess Raw dropped 16% overall in ratings from last year. And they don't really have an answer for that. As far as the product being presented in front of no fans and the ratings declining, I mean, this week they declined 4% from last week, hitting a new all-time record low this week. Vince says they're going to have to change the product itself more to get the ratings up. The average network subscribers were down to 1.4 million from 1.58 million last year. Joan Garcia says, hello from LA. Nice that you're tuning in. Hopefully I can be back to LA soon, whenever they reopen the border. Regarding the Middle East deal, there might not be another Saudi Arabia event this year. If there is, it wouldn't be until November or December. But so they don't miss a Saudi Arabia payment, they'll stick with the 2 Saudi Arabia shows a year. But if they don't have the Saudi Arabia shows this year, they're going to be tacked on to the end of the deal. So rather than doing more shows next year, they'll be tacked on to whenever this 10-year Saudi Arabia blood money deal ends. Their toy and video game sales were lower this year, as well as their overall merchandise. Their consumer products declined to $16.9 million in revenue from $20.8 million last year. They are not going to put out a new video game this year. Someone says, Viva la lucha libre and independent wrestling. Vince McMahon also says he doesn't know if the company will be in the live event business as they were before when things get back to more normal. He feels they'll probably be more content-oriented. And back to the comment that guy just made about independent wrestling, if WWE does do less live events, that could be a very good thing for independent wrestling. Because if WWE stops coming, for instance, to this area where I run like the 3-hour radius of Ottawa, Canada for Great North Wrestling, if WWE stops coming to this area, for instance, that would be a good thing for Great North Wrestling, because we won't have any WWE competition. If people want to see wrestling, they'll come to see Great North Wrestling. So we'll see if they actually start doing less live events when the lockdown ends. I guess WWE only held 42 events in the first quarter due to the coronavirus. Last year in the first quarter, they held 91 events. So there was a lot less events overall. They also said that they saved $4 million per month with the talent that was released. I believe it was last week. They released about 30 talent and other workers. So that saves them $4 million a month. So I feel that was a good move on their part. Edgar Barranco says, what can they do to make the product better? Well, someone commented the other day, they had a good point. There's still wrestling fans like me. I'm a wrestling fan. I will still watch an 80s WWE match or a Stone Cold Steve Austin match or a Goldberg match or a Ric Flair match. But I'm not a World Wrestling Entertainment fan. Maybe they should get back to actual wrestling. Wrestling is what brought them to the dance, not as much entertainment. That's a guy's opinion that I found was very valid. Benny B says he watched a few SmackDowns from Ottawa. Yeah, they did a few tapings here. I did security for a bunch of their tapings here. I used to do arena security here. They didn't draw that well. Usually they had the whole top area tarped off and about 50% of the bottom of the bowls tarped off. Leaf Gramison says, thinking about the future, could a great Hulk Hogan biopic lift the industry? I think someone is doing I think Netflix is doing a Hulk Hogan biopic, but again, Hulk Hogan's time was totally different from today's time. The characters were way better than today's characters overall. They still have some good characters like The Undertaker. John Cena is a decent character. But for instance, what I saw, another point from the review of the highest drawing WWE championship reigns that I did last week, John Cena's best championship run attendance did not even equal half of Steve Austin's best attendance. So I'll say it, I still got the sheet here. Steve Austin's best attendance when he was WWE champion was his third reign. He averaged 14,307 fans per event. John Cena's best reign was his 7th. He averaged only 6,584 fans per event. So we're a long way from the Steve Austin era of things going better. KW says, I like promos, but I don't like the soap opera WWE has turned into. One thing I really don't like that I've seen on Twitter and stuff lately is why they still do the in-ring stuff, like with wrestlers. I saw something with Braun Strowman getting a box with 2 female wrestlers all sitting in a ring as if like it was a live show with a crowd there. Why do you have to do that in a ring? Why can't you do it in a cooler setting? Why does it have to be in a ring if there's no crowd there? I just don't get it. Sam Jamans, who was my favorite wrestler growing up. I didn't have him. I guess Macho Man, Undertaker, and Ric Flair would have been 3 of my favorites. Wrestling knowledge. Do I think Austin Theory is a future star? I've only heard of him. I have not seen him wrestle yet. I will watch him at some point. Derek, what Ralph Finello says, he thinks I'd be a great fit for the Dark Order. I don't. I really don't. You know what? I would. I'm honestly not interested in wrestling anymore. By the way, I mentioned previously in the past month I beat NWA and MLW in ratings. Guess what I just found out today? I beat Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling's YouTube channels in ratings by a pretty good amount too. So for everyone that says I should be a wrestler, I think I'm doing pretty good in viewership if I'm beating NWA, MLW, Ring of Honor, and New Japan Pro Wrestling in viewership doing this. Why would I want to wrestle and just be a wrestler when I could not have to take bumps and just do my own thing? When Great North Wrestling gets back, I'll still promote events here and there, present wrestling the way I want to present it. But to be a wrestler, obviously this is my calling. Sniff says COVID-19 isn't deadly. If more people realize this, we could get back to normal life. And somebody just commented to me on my @Devon Hannibal Twitter, what was up with your cancer issue? I have a little bit of cancer, skin cancer on me that needs to be cut out. And to your point, 98% of people are recovering from COVID-19, but the cancer doctors here are not working. Make sense of that. They can't cut off my piece of skin cancer before it grows and potentially causes a problem. But alcohol stores are open. I still don't get it. I really don't get it. Motor Stash, how is Paul Orndorff doing? I know he has health issues. I'm glad I got the full shoot interview with him when I did. And by the way, it's out there if anyone wants to watch it. Real Life 315 says he's watching my Lex Luger full shoot interview right now. It's great so far. It was a good one, and I hope to do another one with him maybe this year. Buffalo's not that far from me. Dave Show says, hi, hey, back to you. Al Hishershin says, I should do an interview with Paul Vachon. I agree. He doesn't actually live in Canada, from what I understand. He lives somewhere in upstate New York. Keep it up. We need good wrestling media. PW909 says, Dave Wrestling Knowledge says the Ultimate Warrior is the greatest of all time. In his opinion, he rivaled Hogan in Hogan's prime. I was a fan of the Ultimate Warrior. Let's look at what the Ultimate Warrior's average attendance was. He was up there. He was in one of the top. The Ultimate Warriors was 5,549 fans per event with 95 title defenses. So that's not bad. I do remember, for everyone that says Ultimate Warrior wasn't a draw, I was a kid. I went to every house show that he headlined here in Ottawa, Canada, and they were packed. I remember they were packed. I could not get arena floor tickets. And I think there was only one Ultimate Warrior show he did here that I was able to get ringside tickets for. Other than that, like, you couldn't, tickets were selling so fast that I was sitting in the stands. So the Ultimate Warrior is a bigger draw than people say. And yes, Hogan still takes subtle shots at him, subtle jabs at him all the time. He likes to take subtle jabs at people. Do I like the band Madball? I've never actually heard of them. KW, why not put Great North Wrestling on YouTube? I do. If you search Great North Wrestling YouTube, most of our events since at least 2016 are up there. That's around the time we started taping all of our events. And then from our inception in 2007 on, we did make DVDs of certain events, and pretty much every DVD event that I had made into a DVD is on there. So just search up Great North Wrestling, the Hannibal TV. There's literally hundreds of match videos, including our first ever Great North Wrestling event. That was coincidentally held in the same arena where I used to watch The Ultimate Warrior as a kid, the Ottawa Civic Center, now known as TD Place Arena. Would I ever sell my tape library? Say what says? I don't really think so, no, because you look at a guy like Rick Bassman, who sold his UPW tape library that contained John Cena matches and all sorts of stuff. I mean, he got a one-time payout. If he would just have put it all on YouTube, he would get consistent money from it monthly. Maybe not huge money, but I'd rather have consistent money for the rest of my life than one large payoff, which might not even be that great of a payoff. Motor Stash, was I a fan of Bad News Brown? No, I was a fan of his, but I was actually a friend of his, and I actually presented the official Bad News Brown memorial show after he passed. And I took his passing really hard because he was, before that became his memorial show, he was helping me put that show together. And I didn't have that much interactions with him. The best I knew him was actually close to the time he died. And he was a really nice guy. I really liked him. And as I said, because I was actually talking to him a bit around the time he died, when he passed away, it hit me really hard because I was not expecting him to pass away. And for anyone that didn't know, he was a mall security guard at the time he passed. I mean, he liked it. He also still taught jiu-jitsu or judo. Sorry, it was judo that he was the medalist in at, I believe, the Montreal Games. I know he still taught it just for fun, but unfortunately, he was a mall cop by the end. Travis Berg says he loves my content. Would I ever do a Dark Side of the Ring episode and tell my story about the blading incident? Yes, I would. And I'm getting some notifications here. Some people are asking, when's my Dynamite Kid compilation video coming out? It's going to be out in a couple of days here. KW says it's odd that Rick Martel turned down the Dino Bravo video, especially after what Billy Jack claimed happened to Martel. Well, as I said, I love Billy Jack, but someone said I'm kind of disparaging him because I said he suffers from CTE and he doesn't always remember things the way they happened. There's certain videos from his shoot interview that I had to take down because credible people that were involved contacted me and said, this did not happen. Please take it down. And I'm the type of reporter, if someone can prove to me that I've posted something that's completely false, I will take it down, because if someone did that about something false about me, I would not want it up. But Billy Jack Haynes, unfortunately, has CTE issues. That's not me making fun of him. He was in a CTE lawsuit against the WWE, which, funnily enough, the only person WWE has hired back since that lawsuit that was involved in that lawsuit was Sylvain Grenier, Pat Patterson's buddy. And as far as Rick Martel turning it down, I think I've said this before. I've tried to get him for shoot interviews many times. I've tried to get him to appear in Great North Wrestling. He does not live far from me, and I was a fan of his. He told me he does not want anything more to do with the wrestling business. He doesn't like it anymore. He doesn't want anything to do with it. He's moved on. Please interview Rick Martel. Yeah, I just said it. I'm sorry, guys. He doesn't want to do it. I'll still check in with him here and there because he's a nice guy. He responds to me, but I don't think he's going to do it. Kim G says, thanks for my interview with Jacques Rougeau. A couple more questions. Colin Nicholson, I'm glad you changed your mind reviewing Dark Side of the Ring. I enjoy your reviews of it. Well, as I said, you guys wanted me to review it. I'm about the fans. Yes, I was mad about what they said about Kevin Sullivan, but in the end, that's Kevin Sullivan's issue with them. He responded to it. He didn't even end up, like Kevin Sullivan said he was going to do an interview with me, responding to it, and then he ended up doing another one with someone else instead. So, I mean, if he doesn't even want to address it with me on my channel, I'm not going to continue like not watching something if the fans of this channel want me to review it, and it costs me nothing to review it. So I'm going to continue reviewing it. And for the guy that asked, would I let them do a Dark Side of the Ring on the Abdullah situation? Why not? Why not? Yesterday, though, a lot of people had good ideas on future Dark Side of the Rings. Dynamite Kid would be a good one. Brian Pillman would be a good one. Pat Patterson would be a good one. The sexual stuff involving Terry Garvin and Tom Cole and who was the other guy? Mel Phillips. That would be a good one because the Mel Phillips and Terry Garvin issues were settled by WWE. William Cahill, have I ever met CM Punk? And is he hard to deal with? I haven't met him. I haven't had any dealings with him. I don't like that he took the shot at Jacques Rougeau yesterday, though. That was uncalled for. Have I seen the New Jack episode of Dark Side? Jas Bopari says, no, I have not. A lot of people want me to do an interview with New Jack. I might work on that. Wrestling Knowledge, have I ever interviewed Nails? No, but if they open up the border and I go to Minnesota, which I'd like to, I will interview Nails. I'll track him down. I want to interview Jesse Ventura, Greg Gagne, Nails, and the Berserker, at least from Minnesota. And I actually have a lot of fans of this channel from Minnesota. As I go around to the conventions and reunions, so many people from Minnesota have told me they're fans of my channel that I think I owe it to them to come there and visit their town and cover it. And I was a big AWA fan. Jarvie says they should do a Dark Side of the Ring on the end of WCW. Yes, they should. Biggest Richard Cranium just tipped me $5. Thank you, Biggest Richard Cranium. And he says, this is the most straight up and honest channel there is. Thank you. I really try. Ty Bomb 1 says, Dark Side of the Ring. Sonny bangs every guy in the wrestling business. That's very funny. Greek Wolverine, Rick Rude, and Mr. Perfect, Dark Side of the Ring. Yes. And for the people that I recently did a compilation video on Rick Rude, and some people doubted what Honky Tonk Man alleged on there, but Honky Tonk Man first told me that when he was drunk, just in passing. I forget even where we were, but it was like on a Great North Wrestling event before that. And he had like told me that when he was drunk. It was before I even did shoot interviews. If you look at where I asked him that, he's in a dressing room. And I think it was in 2011. I just asked him to say it on tape, stuck a camera in his face, and he said it on tape. I have known Honky Tonk Man to be a bit of an asshole from time to time. He might not answer questions he doesn't like, or he might give semi-shady answers to questions he doesn't like. But Is he a liar? No, I don't think he's a liar. Brutus Beefcake, on the other hand, no comment. Colonel Quayle says, hope CM Punk is the hacker and comes back as the straight edge heel. I don't know. I don't expect him to come back anytime soon. I think he'll eventually come back. Dave Show says he thinks I do a great job. Keep up the good work. Thanks. Joey say, Martin, love your look on the wrestling world. Thank you. True Sinister, how did I burn my bridge with WWE? Well, how I burnt my bridge, the reason my contract was rescinded was because I had hepatitis C. Then they saw me as damaged goods, even though I'm cured. Once they see you as damaged goods, or they see you're not Google friendly, if you search my name, a lot of that stuff comes up. They don't want controversy. But a good point is there's other companies. There's AEW, and then let's look at this. There's New Japan, MLW, Ring of Honor, and to a lesser extent, Impact. But as I just mentioned, I got higher viewership this past month than MLW, NWA, Ring of Honor, and New Japan's English YouTube channel. Yet none of those companies have the least bit interest in me. I don't know. Figure that one out. If I was one of those companies, I'd want to hire someone that could help bring them more viewers. But then again, I'm happy doing what I'm doing, and I wouldn't want to go to a company that would prevent me from still doing my own stuff on the side. Luke Webb 96 said, did the $1 Million Man give out real money to the crowd? Yes. Daniel Cooper says, Jerry Lawler, why would New Jack lie on Lawler? I don't know what he's talking about there. Anthony Shinek says, I enjoy your channel, mate. Just a few more questions here. Do I think Zack Ryder blew all of his WWE money on toy figures? No. He made $400,000 a year. The last few years, he was employed for like 16 years. He's probably a multimillionaire. Peter Birdshell, we will start a new league one day. Well, I don't know, man. My dream would be to have like some big investor invest in Great North Wrestling so I could present my own product. Have I met General Adnan? No. True Sinister, the Lawler rumors about young ladies. Maybe that should be a good dark side of the ring. New Jack had mentioned years ago that Lawler was racist. I don't know anything about that. I'm going to go train. I'm going to run, use my punching bag a bit. Tank Abbott actually told me a new combination to practice tonight. The Wrestling Observer should come out today. I'll do a review later. Why doesn't Canada have a major wrestling promotion? Fritz V says, well, Great North Wrestling is actually the most worldwide known wrestling promotion in Canada, but why don't we have a major promotion? Because Canada is very large, very spread out, and honestly, it couldn't make money. It really couldn't. There never has. Back in the territory days, there were full-time promotions, but maybe if WWE stops coming here, that could be easier. But right now, with the overall popularity of wrestling, I don't think it would work out well. Dave Show, Slayer, Metallica. Do I resent when celebrities wrestle? True Sinister says, no, I don't resent it at all. I do think that they put way too many like outside people under contract because those people don't last long. They're only temporarily boosts. Jas Bapari says Stampede Wrestling was Canada-wide. It may have aired on TSN, but they never came to Ontario. I think the only places they came was BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, maybe Manitoba. If they went to Manitoba, it wasn't much. Mike Gonzalez says wrestling's dead. Well, as I said, wrestling might be dead on TV because they're going for entertainment more than wrestling. But there's still wrestling fans out there that want the old wrestling. Vass Haas, can I interview Scott Steiner? I have an interview with Scott Steiner up here. Search it up. I would like to do a better quality one, though. Yes. Peter Birdshow, wrestling's a cornerstone of all real combat. I agree. Say what? Lance Storm interview? Maybe. If he could do one, he probably can't do one for 90 days. But yeah, I would do one with him. I do already know him. Glenn Shape says he missed the territory. Do I think how Bret Hart's doing lately? I heard he moved to Hawaii.